Okay, we're going to look at how to use the job builder tool to create assemblies in VISCO. So let's start by talking about how you define what an assembly is, and it's done at the product level. So this is situations where you're selling in kits or you're selling goods that need to be put together using components that you have in inventory. So the first thing you need to do is create all the component items in the system. And then you're going to create an assembly item and associate that with the components. So I'm going to bring up one that I already created. And say it's this item, for example. So when I click into the item, you're going to see a tab along the top that says assembly. And here's where you're filling in what makes up this assembly. So in this case, I'm saying there's these two components that go into it. It takes 0.04 pieces of foil and 5 pieces of this item to make up 1 piece of this item. So that's just kind of defining the bill of material or defining what components make up that assembly. You can also put in descriptions for how it's used and modify it. And then you're going to use the job builder tool to actually do the build. So you have to have the component inventory in stock already to be able to do this, which I already did that before I started recording. So if I go into the full report list, you'll see one of the options I have here is the job builder. It's not really a report, it's more of a tool, but it's in the report list. It's going to bring us out to Excel, which is loading on my other screen. I'll pull over. So first question is asked, how much of the assembly item do I want to build? Let's say I want to build 100. You don't need to fill in the unit measure to fill that in automatically once you select the product. This receipt number would be if the warehouse that you're working with gives you some sort of reference number on the build, you would put that in. The PO number, the purchase order number, you can enter manually if you choose to, or the system will assign it, because what it's going to do is once the system does this assembly, it's going to create a new purchase order or new venture back in the system for the assembled goods. But I'm going to leave that blank. I'll let the system assign that for me. And then I'm going to pick which warehouse I want to do the build in. The important point to note about this is you have to have the component inventory in the same warehouse to do the build. So I prepared ahead of time and did that and put everything in this allied warehouse. And I'll choose which item I want to build. So I pick that one. And then it brings up all the available ventures or all the available lots basically in inventory that are necessary to this build. So it tells me these are the 2 items that I need to be able to build it. This is how much is required of each to build 100 of the assembly item. And then it shows me the available ventures and the quantity that's available in each. So let's say I'm just going to go with exactly what they're telling me, 4 of those and 500 of those. And you'll notice what's happening here is it's also grabbing the cost. So this is my venture LPC. So the wording there means it's the latest projected cost per unit on each one of the components that are in stock. So when I select this, it's doing the math to figure out what my actual true total cost is for the assembled goods. And then I can add additional costs here if we want to as well. So let's say there's some warehousing fees as well, $50 in warehousing fees to do the actual assembly. And then I click this button here to say create job build. And now it actually does the work to create the inventory item. It assigns it a new purchase order number 8151. So, and it transfers all the costs over. So let's say I go back into VISCO here and I want to look at inventory. So I'm going to pull up inventory for the assembly item, which starts with 024. And then we'll notice, yeah, this is the item this is the specific lot that just got created, venture number 8061. We created a total of 5 pieces. That's the job build that it was associated with. And sorry, no, 8151. This is the one that we just created. We created 100 pieces, job build 15. That's the date that it was created. And then we can see what our actual cost is. In this case, 49 cents per piece is our actual cost per unit on each of the ones we created. And if we drill down in to figure out where that costing number came from, we can see we have all the costs from the component items carried over, as well as any accruals carried in as well. And we added that $50 charge as well. So taking a combination of all the costs from the components as well as the accruals to come up with this latest projected cost per unit on the assembly item.